What's up everyone and welcome to the channel. It's Joanna from Subwell. Today we are taking a look at the Tracksmith Eliot Runner. I'll be breaking down all the quirks and features in it, and I'll end with giving you my thoughts and whether it's worth the $198 price tag. Let's get into it. Why did I get the Tracksmith Eliot Runner? So when I first got really deep into structured training and running in 2022, believe it or not, I've only been doing this for about a year, I fell in love with the Tracksmith brand and everything that it represented. Their commitment to storytelling, to centering a narrative of this everyday runner who's grinding their hardest to make it through, and then their beautiful photography, imagery, their catalogs. I have their no days off calendar up there. And I know it's a little bit cliche in the running community to be a Tracksmith fanboy or fangirl, but they have a special place in my heart. I'm also from Massachusetts and they're a Boston-based running brand. So when I heard that they were coming out with a running shoe, I was one of the first on the list to sign up and to be on the wait list. When I got the Eliot Runner, I wasn't sure where it would fit into my lineup, whether it would be a daily trainer or just a casual shoe. I mean, this thing looks sweet. So I was just like, I like Tracksmith, I want to get it and we'll see how it is. I did not have high expectations for the ride or anything because it's really hard to make a running shoe and I knew it was their first shot. First up, let's break down the looks. So I am holding in my hand a brand new Eliot Runner. I have about 100 miles on my other pair and as well as a bunch of everyday use, walking, traveling, etc. So you might be wondering why these ones are brand new. This is because in my initial pair that I got, they had an eyelet issue. This inner right shoe eyelet wasn't punched out, so I couldn't string the lace through, so they sent me another pair. Good job, Tracksmith. And I thought for the review, might as well hold a clean pair instead of the other dirty one. And so I broke down the looks in great detail in the unboxing video, but for starters, it's a very clean look. It's that traditional, almost Nike kill shot, Stan Smith, common project vibe going on here, like a traditional tennis shoe or a traditional racing flat from back in the day. There's an engineered mesh upper here. It's not the softest, it's not like a knit feeling, but on foot it's very comfortable with this padded heel collar. And then we have an off-white cream-ish ivory foam in the midsole. The Tracksmith Eliot Runner is a moderately cushioned daily trainer with a dual foam midsole. It has a supercritical PIBA sock liner inside the shoe and a standard PIBA midsole, which is a bit firmer feeling. Underfoot, you can feel the squishiness on step-in of the supercritical sock liner, and when you get it out there to start running, you can definitely feel a firmer, more responsive underfoot sensation from the layer of standard P-backs. The outsole is fully covered with rubber, very generous coating of this gum sole, which provides a beautiful contrast to the all-white upper, and the traction is pretty solid. It's not going to be the tackiest like a Continental rubber for rainy days, but for your everyday running, it really does the job. The Tracksmith Eliot Runner is positioned as a daily trainer. But for me, I find this to be best for faster daily miles and also for interval sessions and any other up-tempo work. That's because what we're used to as runners these days is, for the most part, a more cushioned, soft, comfortable underfoot sensation for our daily miles. For example, when I was training for my marathon last year, I was using the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3 as my daily trainer. That has a beaded PIBA foam that is extremely soft, bouncy, and cushioned, and provides a speedy while still being comfortable ride. This P-backs in here, the real deal, which is straight from the manufacturer, the same P-backs company that Nike uses in their Alphafly and Vaporfly, has a totally different sensation than other super foams on the market. It's not going to be that soft, cushioned, bouncy ride that you'll get with an Alphafly or a Vaporfly. It's going to be a much firmer, I don't want to say harsh, but we can go to firm underfoot sensation. And that's why it's great for picking up the pace, but not so much for your everyday miles. When I first got this shoe, in December of last year. I took it out for some easy 8-mile runs straight out of the box. I was going to my gym and I would do some running after. And what I found was it wasn't that comfortable at my 8-minute per mile easy pace. But when I pushed it down into that steady-ish at the time pace of 7:30 and marathon pace 6:50 and below, it really felt great and it started to warm up. So while this looks like something that you're gonna wanna wear around town, wear every day for your daily training, I would not recommend it for that part of your lineup. The fit of the Tracksmith Eliot Runner is narrow. It has a pretty snug upper. It's not gonna be as roomy as a traditional daily trainer, which is why I also put it in the up-tempo category for most runners. Around the back, it has a padded heel collar and lots of structure, which provides mild stability when you land on the midfoot. It's not the best for heel strikers as the transition from heel to forefoot is not aided by any rocker. You can see when I put it down on the table that the platform is fairly flat throughout. There's a mild, very slight baby rocker up here, but if I take out one of my other shoes like a Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, you're gonna see that those curve up way more than this would. What this is perfect for is those days when you want a really natural feeling, simple run and ride. I would compare it to something like the Adidas Takumi Sen. I'm not saying it's as fast as that, nor am I saying it's as snappy and responsive, but they accomplish the same purpose with the same philosophy to running. And that is allowing you to have a planted, simple landing on your foot, unaided by a rocker, and having a nice flexible forefoot for toe off. There's a relatively modest stack height in here. It's not gonna be like other super foam shoes like the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3 or the Nike Vaporfly 3, which is why it lands in the daily trainer or up-tempo category. But it's great for those days when you don't want to run with a carbon plated shoe, but you do want to push the pace. In terms of projected durability, I think this thing is gonna run for 400 to 500 miles for me. The biggest factor when looking at durability is the outsole rubber, and this has a really solid covering of it. For me, I wear through the lateral side of the rubber, the outside on the heel, the quickest, and this is pretty thick. And my other pair, which I have 100 running miles in and lots of walking and traveling miles, there's almost no abrasion there. So that's what I'd look out for. Also with this PIBA foam, because it is on the denser, firmer side, I think that's actually gonna be a great thing for durability. Any of my firmer shoes like the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 have outlasted by multiples softer shoes like the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3, and I think that's because with the compression and release of the EVA or a firmer PIBA, you're gonna have more longevity because it can manage the contraction and expansion at a better rate than some of those softer foams, which every time you're pressing it down, it's putting way more force into the compound itself. The big question is, do I think this is worth it? Now, for me personally, you can see what I'm wearing. I dress like this every day, J. Crew collared shirts, that traditional New England style. I wear this shoe as an everyday around town shoe when I want to wear a sneaker, an alternative to my common projects, which are my fancier shoes. So yes, it's worth it for me because I'll take this traveling. If I want one shoe, I'll use this on the treadmill and I'll use it to walk around New York City or wherever I'm traveling, in addition to using it for running. If you're considering this as your only daily training option, 100% no, not at all. It is not worth it. There's options that are on the market for $50 to $60 to $70 cheaper than this, like the Nike Pegasus. 40 is $130 and it has a very similar ride to this. The Saucony Ride, for example, is $140, so the similar ride to this. The Saucony Endorphin Shifter, I could keep going on. There's a litany of shoes that are in the $130 to $150 price point that have a similar ride to this that are gonna get the job done. But this thing has heart, this thing has soul. You can tell the designers put a ton of effort into crafting something that's beautiful, functional, and performs well. And I love supporting small brands. I love supporting Tracksmith because they have a commitment to runners and to doing things a certain way, doing things the right way. You know, like Mike Tomlin says, the standard is the standard, and they clearly believe in that philosophy as well. So for me, it's worth it to support the brand, to give them my dollar, vote with your dollar, and to keep the mission alive and see what else they're gonna come up with. You know, someone's gotta support these little guys who are out here fighting Nikes. Now, the one piece of feedback I do have for Tracksmith, and that I know it's super hard to do, but I wish they would do, is please, Tracksmith, start producing some of your stuff in America. I know we don't necessarily have all the functional expertise in this country for shoes, but things like t-shirts and bottoms, you can start doing some of that in America. I know you're really cribbing the old school American nostalgia aesthetic for your clothes, which I love, but it'd be great to see if you could bring some of that production back on shore and support our workers here on American soil. All right, team, that wraps it up. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Tracksmith Eliot Runner if you've tried it. I highly recommend this as an up-tempo shoe if you want something that you can also wear around town and if you have similar style to me. So please like, subscribe, follow along on the journey, and thank you for supporting the channel.